could be because of the shreds. We just couldn't see your glamour behind that. So welcome. It's really exciting. I feel like I have the most exciting panel this evening. My name is Jean K. Maki, the Director of Design Hub Kampala. I'm quite excited to have a conversation with creatives. And let's talk entrepreneurship through the lens of the creative sector. And I'm just going to quickly maybe have you introduce who you are, and then we'll dive deep. Just starting from the far side.
Far side, that's me?
That's you.
I knew that. My name is Lwanga. I'm an entertainment, media, and sports law expert. A lover of art and a big fan of every single one on this panel. I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Allibhai. I'm the CEO of Talent Africa. We're a 360 events and entertainment entertainment company based here in Kampala, Uganda. And we've been working in the entertainment business here for more than 15 years. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, my name is Navio. I'm an artist, CEO of Icon Studios and Navcorp and Zuri Model Farms.
Hi everybody, I'm Shiba Karungi. I'm an artist, an entrepreneur. I'm CEO of Holic and I'm a feminist. I'm here to fight for each and every woman to get a seat on the table. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Douglas Ranga. I'm a TV personality working with Next Media. That's NBS, Anyuka, Next Radio. I'm also the CEO of Brand Purple Uganda Limited. We do the Purple parties annually, and I'm also a digital influencer.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Mohanji. I'm the CEO of Comedy Store Uganda, and many other things that I can't say here because of time, but I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much. As you can see, we have a well-rounded panelist conversation, and not to be a sexist, I'm really excited to have a feminist conversation, and that we have representation here. The theme for this year with Startup Uganda Innovation Week is recovery, resilience, innovation, and entrepreneurship. What does that look like in the creative world? And I'm going to dive to Shiba. Yeah. You launched Holic Pads this year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story?
Holic Pads, I found Holic Pads, I'm the founder. I did each and everything 5 years ago, but it took me some time to get the right thing because I had to give it all my attention because it's a health issue. As a girl, I come from a less privileged family, so I'm the kind of girl who used clothes when I was a teenager. I'm the kind of girl who used to hate school because I'm in my menstrual periods because it's embarrassing. So when I grew up and God gave me this platform, I was like, why not do something that is still disturbing the nation Uganda, and those are sanitary pads. So I started the company and we launched the pads on 8th March, Women's Day. As I told you, I'm a feminist this year. So I chose 8th November, but before even the container got here, we were closed. Yes. So those are the little challenges we'll talk about later, maybe.
I'm going to come back to you about how COVID has slowed you down.
All right.
But entertainment is one of those that was really hit by COVID this year. So going to Ali, the events and entertainment industry is one of the most affected sectors. How has Talent Africa dealt with this year?
Yeah, definitely the entertainment industry and the events industry was hit really hard. And, we had to think of ways really quickly about how we could recover and, and been able to keep the company, moving in the right direction. Basically, we had to do a lot of things and switch to, a very much of a virtual and digital aspect to all of our events. And that's kind of what's pulled us through this period in terms of events. Just like, for example, here with Kampala Innovation Week, last year we had a huge physical event at the Kololo airstrip where thousands of people attended. But this year, the event had to go on, right? So we had to come up with a different way of presenting this event, which was very virtual. And most of our audience here watching today is watching online. So this is like just one example of how we've had to be resilient and come up with different ways of doing events and different strategies about how to keep business going forward. Another example is, for example, the Nyege Nyege Festival, which is pretty much like one of our biggest events of the year, which attracts more than 40,000 people in Jinja every year. This year, the event couldn't happen, but it is happening in a virtual form. So next week on NBS TV, we're taking over for 3 days. It'll be the first music festival that's been broadcasted on TV for 3 days. So those are just examples of things that you have to do, think creatively, and just reinvent yourself and do what you can do to survive.
It has been quite the year. That's exciting to hear the journey that Talent Africa is taking. I'm going to throw it to the legal world. Louis,
Yes, ma'am.
how safe is it for the creative industry to showcase online the tapping into these new platforms? What does that look like from the legal world?
Okay, firstly, I have to put it in perspective because people were not looking at the entertainment industry internally and externally as professional enough to be valuable, despite the billions that they bring in. So the way people were operating, most of the legal disputes we used to look at were really petty legal disputes that would come out of not knowing how to professionalize or standardize the industry. When the pandemic came, though, it was a blessing in disguise because now we have all stakeholders thinking differently. How do I protect my work? How do I earn without performance? We are now having discussions, performance rights societies, and we are holding regulators accountable as to why artists are not earning from their music. How can we create a legal policy and a national legal framework in place that is going to enable creatives to be able to earn from that work? And for me, in the legal world, it's been amazing because these conversations have increased and have been being had by the stakeholders holding the government accountable. So when you talk about resilience, I don't know, and no disrespect to other industries like tourism, but the hardest hit was really the entertainment stakeholders, and it has really put a spotlight on it enough that we are now going to be able to have conversations on how to best legally protect everyone and enable them to make their art commercially viable, not just for them, but the country as well.
And I think they're lucky to have you at the front line of the entertainment law world to make sure you can lobby for what belongs to them. It's such an underserved sector that needs to be celebrated. Alex, how are you keeping in business in this COVID world?
First of all, I would want to say that to me, it was a bit an eye-opener when the pandemic came. For me, I looked at it in a way of, say, my job actually, for those who don't know, I'm the guy who hires who is on form, like we say. If Shiba has a hitting song, my job is to hire Shiba to come to my show to perform. Yeah, so to me it was easy for me to sit back and look and say, oh, so who is at home chilling and who is working hard? So it was easy for me to spot out people, Danny, Shiba, guys who are on their feet working. And to me now, I in a way became like, what should I say, like a preacher. Because everyone I would find out, I'm the guy who kept saying, you have to come out, you have to do something. You're an artist, you cannot stay home and wait for the pandemic to go. It's not gonna go, you need to learn to live with it. So to me, that was the challenge that I faced. But still, I would really want to credit the guys who woke up and kept on their feet. They kept working, they kept doing this and that, doing songs. You know, the comedians who kept on coming, like say, we do online shows and stuff like that. Because to me, I'm the guy who sits back and says, oh, so you've done something, come and we work together. So when I speak on behalf of myself, I've managed to do those scientific shows because I again picked the guys who are working hard. So to me, it was kind of, I treated it like a break. Like now, let's see the people who are real. People who are not going to sit down and wait for the pandemic to leave, but people who are going to say that for us to stay in the industry, I need to wake up and work hard. So me, I'm like the overseer. Yeah. So I didn't have a big issue. And I kept working with the guys who are working hard and tried as much as I could to pull the guys who decided to sit back.
I hear a lot of synergy, synergy, and it's really nice to see the creative industry hold hands and uplift each other. CEO, tell me.
Yeah, personally, before COVID, we were all flourishing. Alex had tours coming up. I personally also had a couple of tours across the country because we call ourselves the Purple Party and the biggest celebration of Ugandan music. we ought to take Ugandan music like to the countryside and just celebrate. I know it's so good to bring all these international artists, the Nigerians, to come and perform for the Ugandans, but I personally believe that, Africans for Africans, Ugandans
I'd
for
give you a
Ugandans.
high five from across there.
Yeah, so personally, that's what I was doing. But when COVID came through, all these shows were stopped. We lost money like everybody else. But of course, life has to move on. Interestingly, I ran 2 brands. Douglas Lwanga, that's a brand on its own, and the Purple Party is a brand of its own. But the Douglas Lwanga brand started to get a lot of jigs because I was doing digital influencing for different companies. Back then, they didn't see this thing of getting a celebrity to post something for them on their pages as something that was very viable. But during COVID, because business was still, everybody that had a new app that wanted to put out a new product had to reach out to people that have some level of numbers to push their brand. So the Douglas Lwanga brand was not affected as much as the brand Purple. So that's how I've been working. The other one is kind of still, this one is running.
Good for you. And I think it's a lot for young people to also learn from you and how they can tap into the virtual world to create employment amidst a crisis like this. Navio.
Yes. I think it was an interesting time for me career-wise, simply because I had come off taking a break. So, for my first 2 children, I was literally working back to back. You remember the old schedules, it can be 12 shows a weekend. And I felt like I missed out on a lot. So I said, let me take a year out, 2019, that sounds like a good year to just kind of relax and then come back harder for 2020. So I took a little break, traveled. I was there. My wife is half Swedish. We spent a lot of time out there, and my plan was to come back in 2020 with basically one of the hardest Ugandan albums to date. That was my plan. So we had everything on there, from collaborations with African acts, Lay Lizzy from Mozambique, Calligraph from Kenya, had the Burna Boy remix. The list was just endless. And then I came back with that album, ready to release it in the market, and 2020 did what it does. So I was in a unique position where I'd made so many promises, mostly to the fans as well. And one thing about our industry is, because of the structure of it, you're only as good as your word. And I promised the fans that they're going to get an album. So for me, it was literally, being the first artist out the gate to say, I'm going to do an album launch online, live, with my band. It sounded crazy, for the most part. I have to give it off, because it was really at the beginning of the pandemic when we weren't allowed cars, no one could move around, no borders. So we had my band members literally walking across Kampala to make it for this. Trying to rehearse over WhatsApp, it pushed us into another digital sphere, before we actually knew how to set it up. So I'm pretty thankful for that. And of course, the fact that I've diversified as well, farming and, having the studio up and running, that was pretty much what kept me afloat. But yeah, it was a never say die attitude. And I think that's the Ugandan spirit, and that's why so many of us have done well compared to other countries.
I want to come back to you about entrepreneurship, but Ali, having a 360 company, you've had to prioritize. What has that looked like for Talent Africa?
Yeah, definitely. We had to prioritize since the events were down. Luckily, we have Tag Studios, which is our studio arm of the business, which we launched early this year. And Tag Studios is basically our music studios, our video studios, our whole videography, TV production arm of the business. And this is the part of the business that got the most attention and kept us and has taken us through COVID. Currently, we're producing like 4 shows on TV. We're creating a lot of music, doing a lot of virtual events, live broadcasts, shooting TVCs. And, this was a blessing in disguise in a way, the pandemic, because as much as Tag Studios and Talent Africa Studios has always been there, it never really got that much time to focus on it because we're always so busy with events. Every week we're doing 3 or 4 or 5 events. So this really gave us a time to focus on this part of the business. And, now we've grown Tag Studios and Tag TV and all these other brands associated to the studios to a certain level that when events come back, I have a whole new, bigger, fresh revenue stream. So essentially, when things recover, should be able to,
straight to the bank.
Yeah, precisely.
Alex,
Yeah.
I can assume that consumers have changed their way of how they're going to appreciate what you were doing before. How has this hindered your business, and what have you done about it?
All I can say is that our biggest there was no other way when we were, say, in lockdown times. Everyone knew that you had to sell a product when you're home, so you had to reach the people over the internet. Though some businesses, like, you can't sell fuel when you're on the internet, like someone has to drive his car to you, and so it was hard for some businesses, but some of us, we managed in a way. And a few days ago, the government introduced free Wi-Fi points.
Oh.
Yes, there are a few. I was talking to Douglas about this.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So what happened to this? They put them in different places so that we could, if you fail to get to the internet, to buy a bundle, you could walk from your house to this place, and you use the Wi-Fi and go back home. But today, the people who use these Wi-Fi points are young boys, not girls, but young boys. You see them around 17, 18, those. So you find them on these Wi-Fi points, but then they're misusing the internet. We discussed this before. So what they do, say for example, they come in from midday to like 5, because they have to again, walk back home. So when they reach, in my mind, because I've noticed that when they reach, they're in the groups of like 3, 4. So they're saying, what did Shiba post? Nice outfit. But they're not positive. Because when they become, you see, if someone comments on Shiba's picture saying, oh, you look really good, there's no like of the comment. Even Shiba will be like, yeah, I know, I'm the one, So, but when someone is negative, the reaction is different. So all they do now, because they watch, they watch, say, NBS, and they watch Uncut Sabura, they watch Full Figure and Bajo. So that's the tone they have in their mind. If I hit hard, you never know, I get more reactions. Yeah. So they misuse the internet. They misuse these Wi-Fi points. So when they come today, they say, Doug, Innovation Week. They say, Douglas, those shoes are Chinese. Bro, I'm just doing, this is an example.
You always wanted to say that.
No. So because if they say these are an original, say whatever brand it is, they won't get the reaction.
There's nothing more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they go negative, they feel like even Doug is going to come out and say, no, he has to defend himself. So this guy goes on Doug's page, he abuses him, he goes on Kenzo's page, he abuses him, he goes on Navio's page, he goes on Talent Africa, he abuses like 8 pages. So he knows one guy is going to come, he'll get replies. So he closes his phone and goes back home. That's in that time. So he comes back tomorrow to check, how did my comment do the previous day? So that's what's going on. So I beg, I ask all these guys, let's be positive, to have a better Uganda. Give credit. Say, Doug, the show is dope, man. Yeah, it's from where?
Milan.
Where?
Milan products.
Sure, which Milan?
Support local entrepreneurship. So
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's good sometimes to be positive, because we might have the internet. If you have you have access to the internet. Some other people don't have the time or the bundle. So let's be positive. That's all I could say to my people. And I thank the guys again that have, moved forward to know that, now I need to do, the Innovation Week, do a scientific event. We're waiting for Papo Party, by the way. So I don't know if you, whatever.
Nyege is loading.
Are you the moderator?
So you need, sorry?
I'll answer that.
Okay, yeah. So that's where I come in and say, everyone out there who feels like you can do something to reach your people, try. Some people will go to these Wi-Fi points and get your message.
Louis, so the corporate law in Uganda has been a never-ending conversation. Yeah?
True.
And I'm wondering, what are the current measures being taken for that awareness for copyrights, for we, the creatives?
That's a very good question, but I can't answer it at that level. For you to understand the problems we have with our copyright law, you have to understand our society's attitude towards entertainment.
Yes.
So entertainment for us it was never something people did commercially. Our cultures have entertainment and art infused in them. That's why some people don't believe that entertainers work. In fact, most parents would push their kids to be a lawyer like Louis, never to be a rapper like Navio. If you wanted to be a rapper, you were looked at like you know, a rebel or something like that. So you have to peel it back to that attitude in order to understand even the level of why the government doesn't really look at it as that important. Do we have the copyright laws? Yes, we do have them. Very good copyright laws on paper. Are these laws understood by people within and outside the industry? Absolutely not. And as long as the stakeholders within and outside do not understand them, there is no way they're going to be enforced, because what are you enforcing? No disrespect, I saw a couple of artists go up to Parliament and say, please enforce copyright, and I felt like the most important thing is for within the industry to understand what is copyright, how can we benefit from it. First of all, how can we ensure that it is there for us, because it's working for artists out there, why isn't it working for artists out here? So that is a very loaded question that needs to be peeled back. However, because the pandemic happened, and these guys will attest, people were forced to have that conversation of, okay, now we need to understand what our rights are, seeing as the government is not going to come and help. We need to diversify, but in the music business, we need to understand exactly, not just the copyright law, but what laws or what bundle of laws are there that are going to enable us to enforce or to protect or to make our art commercially viable. And because Alex spoke about accessibility to internet, and this is the conversation we were having before we got on the panel, it's very, very key that there is not just access, but cheap access to the internet by many. Because we now, and I'm speaking from now the legal standpoint and the information we now have big, there's a content race worldwide. Streamers, Netflix, Amazon, Facebook, streaming, Tidal, Spotify. And these people didn't really care about Africa until they were looking at the numbers that we were putting in and how we were backing up what our art was, how we were demanding a seat at the table, like Sheba said, to speak and be the ones in charge of that art, that the content race is now moving to Africa. So in my work currently, I'm working on licensing deals with Netflix. I'm working we have streamers like Spotify moving into the market, and their biggest questions are, Louis, what is the legal framework in place that's going to enable us to be able to start that business there, but also not to be in a confrontational legal battle with artists. We want them to earn. Those are the conversations that this period is forcing that to have, and it's very, very, very exciting to that effect. So the only impediment I see is that we haven't done enough sensitization, for first the stakeholders themselves to buy into it. Because if I come as a lawyer and I'm like, you guys, copyright is good for you, I'm not an artist. You understand. But if a Sheba, came and told artists that, guys, or not even tell them, if they just look at what she's doing, how she's earning, and they're like, that is what we want to do, that is more powerful. It will even get, and I want to task the government as well. These conversations are being had because of people like you, Design Hub and Talent Africa, willing to create spaces like this. Yes. That's why we're having these conversations. If the government created more engagement, we would be far with this sensitization, not just in the arts, but in different industries. We are not a dumb nation. The only reason is because people don't have access to information, or there are no spaces for shareholders or like stakeholders to share ideas. Like if Sheba probably wanted to empower women on how to, get into a business like this, people don't have access to Sheba. They're only going to have access to her in this space. Yes. People don't have access to a CEO like Ali, or to a Douglas, or to Navio, you understand? So these spaces are very, very extremely key, and we need to have more conversations like this. But back to your question, pretty much the conversation around the legalities cannot be pushed by one person. One, we have very few legal experts on it, because even the legal industry didn't look at it they didn't look at artists as people who are going to bring money, which is sad, because art is bigger than that. So we have like one person who's going to explain to the regulators that, look, we need to have this in place. Then you explain to the government that, look, we need to have this in place. And then you have to explain to the artists themselves that, guys, this is benefiting you. So it's been, for me especially, my personal experience. I've been swimming against a mentality tide that I'm glad is going to change with conversations like this happening.
Yes, I hear you very much. And with sensitization, there's going to be a lot of mindset change towards the creative sector and what it does and how we can have these conversations be more relevant, fruitful, and propel them to the next place. But I'm really excited about the rising, enterprising African women. And Shiba, you have walked that journey. I'm curious to hear from you. What has been some of the challenges that you have met? And also to make it more relatable, how have you dealt with that?
During the COVID?
Yes.
Definitely, I got so many challenges because first of all, I am one of the most hardworking women in this country because I take on each and everything. I've never had a break for the last 15 years. So this for me, not earning because I have a tail of people looking out for me, responsibilities back home, my family, everybody, people, a lot of people that people have no idea. Now, the trick is, like he's saying, the only way Ugandan artists will make money is by stepping on stage and holding a microphone, which is sad because people are downloading our music. And for us, we invest continuously in the videos. We invest because the COVID lockdown did not stop me from releasing the music because I still needed my business to be relevant. I still needed my music to go out there. I didn't want people to forget about what I do. So you keep on even investing, using the money you saved to do something else. So right now, the plans we had last year, they didn't come up because everything changed. But as an artist as well, I want it to be a lesson to all of us. We look so much on the stage and we get comfortable. We get too comfortable, like, I'm sure by the end of the month, I would have done 22 shows if you're actually working. Or at the end of the month, I would have done 50 shows. But now, we don't have it. You're home. You're not allowed to. We don't even know when we are going back on. Now that puts you in a space of how am I going to survive? So this puts us in a space of creating. How do I get creative? Back in the day, we didn't think about having our own businesses. Personally, I did, but I didn't know if I needed to do it as fast as now. But now, lockdown showed me I need to have a plan B, apart from just being on stage. But also plan B means we need money to create all these businesses, but we don't have the copyright to protect our music that could make us money, which is so tricky. So which goes back to the lawyer's case, which also disturbs me so much. So like he says, I wish people like Shiba can come out. We want to come out. We want to talk about these things, but we cannot do anything about these things if the government itself is not stepping in to help us help ourselves, because we can't help ourselves. The laws are done by the government. So it's the government to realize that when Shiba holds a show at Africana, fuel business is making money. Transport business is making money. Beer people are selling beer. The band people are getting paid. The dancers are getting paid. There is 1,000. Umeme is getting paid. There's 1,000 people who are making money, millions and millions of people off one concert, but that person is not protected. So which is so sad. I really, my cry goes out to the government to help us find a way of putting our creativity to a next level, so that even if you break a leg, because you never know, you could break a leg on stage. So what happens? You never earn. Your music is forever going to be played for free on radio. Then on top of that, artists have to pay to the media personalities and media houses to get their music played on top of that. So it's a huge issue. I really hope the COVID did not just put us in a crisis of crying for help, but it actually put the government in a place of hearing our cry. I really hope so.
I really like that you've talked about the value chain of the creative sector. It's so many people benefiting from that.
Yes.
Navio, I would like you maybe to tell us a bit more. You've been an entrepreneur. You have diverse beyond your music. And also talking about technology, what technology do you think would be best for the creative sector to tap into and maybe a genre of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, well, I mean, all of these issues actually start to tie into one big overall issue. And our technology and how far we push it is based on our numbers and how much we can command from those numbers. It's very disheartening sometimes on radio, and you'll even have MCs and presenters really ask you a blank-faced question. Like, okay, so since Nigerian music is better than what you guys are doing, do you think...
I know.
And they don't see anything wrong about studying something like that. Basically, it's become a numbers game in their minds, one. Two, you believe that when you see like the followers that, for example, Ashiba has, you need to understand that because of how much internet is, because of our bandwidth and our ability online to actually watch videos, someone like Ashiba sitting here right now has close to 8 million to 9 million followers in Africa. That would all be on our Instagram if it wasn't for those kind of issues.
Yeah.
You can basically take any artist in the industry right now, times their following by 8. I think a lot of people look to what's happened in Tanzania, no duty on smartphones, for example, no taxing on a lot of gadgets that they bring in. I think actually people like my mom were actually pushing for the IT sector to have some of those fundamental gadgets and technologies subsidized and not taxed, because it's the only way that we're going to compete in this new framework. You have 200 million people in Nigeria, plus 40 living in their diaspora. And then you have our Uganda with our 40 million. We really have to at least give our artists a chance, and that is what's going to push our culture as well. They don't understand that it's an interconnected web. Tech, you don't set up a ministry of culture and then not try and invent ways to actually empower us to push our culture. Our music, all our videos, that's stuff that we export every day. And it would actually end up building up the industry in general. Sorry, I just had to sidebar into that point. But I think tech in general, there's nothing that we don't have access to. It is just the platforms that we're able to access and the layman is able to access. So, basically if we get some of the things cut down as far as things that are taxed, then that's good for us. I also wanted to mention something on the point of copyright and royalties, because this is actually something that a lot of artists would talk about, the blanket issue of copyright, but what they're really interested in is royalties, getting their money back for play of their songs. And it's very important. The government has set really good copyright laws, but the royalty side is what's dwindling. So we need a framework where it doesn't matter who's collecting it on the other side. Make radio and TV pay, and get an accounting firm to account for how many times Sheba has played. You have a lot of setups, technological setups right now, Feza, a lot of ways to monitor radios and TVs, to know exactly how many times she's played, how many times I've played. You divide up that by a blanket figure that gets paid the same way that they do in South Africa, and you have a way to pay your acts. They keep saying that acts need to register. We should register to the body to gain access to those funds. I believe that sometimes sometimes you need to set up the framework and pay people whether or not they want to get paid. There's no artist who does not want to get paid. It's just the framework with which you're paying them through. There's a lot of issues with technology, but most of them are not based on what we have access to. Of course, we need more computers, we need more smartphones, we need all of that in the industry. Everything down to the sanitary pad. These are all technologies that we need. Like you were saying earlier, we were talking about the where we get the raw materials for the products we actually put out. We wish everything was in Uganda, but it's not right now. But I think with being able to empower us through the technologies and then giving the layman the common man access, you put every border man on Instagram and see what happens. It's over with. There's no one that can touch us. There's a reason that MTV launched here. There's a reason that the Channel O's used to launch here. There's a reason that all these networks launch here. We have the most vibrant music, culture in Africa, hands down. All of them have learned from us. It's just about, like you say, some of the higher ups believing in that and believing that it's important to push culture.
Yes.
And the best way to do it is through music.
I hear a lot of last mile distribution. How do we get our content to every person down there? And Douglas, I think I really admire your humility. I think you reach out to a huge demographic, from the guy down there to the uptown. Ali, I do want to ask you how, as Talent Africa, I feel like you'd have experience in knowing how ready was the Ugandan creative industry to appreciate technology.
I mean, technology really is what we have to look into the future. I mean, not even in the future, from now. Because I feel like, COVID is here, but like Shiba said, we don't know when it's going away. And this is the new normal. Things are not gonna necessarily change very fast. And when, like, for example, when later on events, I think like SOPs and sanitization and health checking and these types of things are going to be there forever. So we have to learn how to work with them going forward. And all these new things like the emphasis on digital media and virtual media, this is not going to change. Even when events come back to normal and entertainment comes back to normal, I think that this is something that's going to always be there now. Every event will now be live streamed. People will probably still be having meetings on Zoom rather than having physical meetings, because people have realized that it saves a lot of time. I think artists will still be having online concerts. Maybe they'll have their concert with a crowd, but they'll still have the online aspect as well. So I mean, we need to embrace all the technologies that are being presented and come up with new and innovative ways to to bring what we have as brands and artists and companies to the people, to their phones, to their living rooms. It's here to stay. So we need to just keep looking for new ways and new technologies and new things that are going to be able to make the industry succeed.
It's been a very disruptive year, and Douglas, I'm going to come back to you. So you're in the virtual space. Do you feel like Uganda has a good virtual space environment for you to grow? Is it a conducive environment for the virtual world and the things that you do there?
Well, the internet is here, and most people are taking good use of it. But there are lots of challenges out there. Like Louis mentioned, the internet is very expensive. Like during COVID, I think the person that has done virtual concert, and they got like a very huge audience, was Bobby Wine, and we know all the reasons. But so many artists have tried out to do all these, virtual shows.
What are they actually? What are the reasons?
What? The reasons.
We shall stay away from the reasons.
He's a global icon. So he has like a bigger audience that's not even in Uganda. Like it's so huge, and those people have like easier access to the internet down here. So we still have challenges regarding, internet is expensive. Somebody can't stream a 1-2 hour show. They don't have that data. So the best they can do is to just jump in 1, 2, 3 minutes, they jump out. Yeah. And it poses a challenge. Like, yes, you want to do all these virtual shows, but it's not worth it. You still put up a comedy store, you have to pay Madrat and Chico, you have to pay mariachi, you have to put up the production. That's all money. Yeah. And then you're streaming it for free. So it's just not adding up.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Feza has also tried, to do these things, but you see, I don't think the numbers are as huge as they should have been. So the internet, yes, is good. It's there, but there are lots of challenges that we need to overcome.
And hopefully Louis will be fixing some of those. Alex, what do you feel has been most capitalized on? What has been capitalized on by the creative industry to remain relevant, according to your experience?
Yeah, just define the word creative. Means, it means in whatever situation you're in, you're meant to deliver.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that we're here. Look at all these guys. They are shining. They have nice shoes. They have, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So to me, I feel like when somebody is a creative, even when you hold them in a box, so say it's a lockdown, whatever it is, they'll still come up with something and reach their fans. So to me, I feel like much as, well, I could say monetarily we were kind of affected as a creative industry, as entertainment, but I think the way we are fighting to come out of this box is what makes us much more stronger than we were before. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I've had an interesting conversation, and as we wrap up, I'm going to throw the question to all of you to think of how have you remained relevant? How do you speak to someone out there to remain relevant amidst what this crisis has been? And I'm going to see a volunteer start off this conversation as we wrap up with your last parting words.
As a wrap up, I think us like creatives have such a huge following. It's up to you as a creative to transform those numbers you have on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, to be like actual tangible numbers. Shiba was having this conversation earlier on. Like the following online is good, but you need that actual tangible following that if you have a product like the Holic pad, these guys will actually come and buy it. So that's the challenge that us as creatives need to do going forward.
Thank you.
To top that up, let's not give up. Let's stay hopeful. Let's stay positive. I'm seeing a lot of negativity on social media as well. It's unnecessary. It does not. We're already having an issue. The year is tricky and the year is very challenging as it is. We don't need to be hard on each other. That makes it all worse. So let's be kind to each other, because you never know what I'm going through, regardless of how I look right now, because I won't come to explain it to you. But let's be kind to each other. Let's be nice to each other. Let's pray for our country to have a better situation. And for the business side of it, business is challenging. This year has been more challenging. Get more creative and also collaborate. This year is all about collaborating. If you're a makeup artist, collaborate with an artist, a designer, collaborate with Talent Africa, collaborate with Douglas, do something with Alex, do something with Navio. It's the time of collaboration, because we all need each other and each other's numbers to push our brands. Yeah, thank you.
I think, on one side, you have a huge, the government's tied up trying to save lives right now. And there's a huge number, 10 million people who are interested in the industry, maybe 1 million of us as creatives and artists in film and TV and all walks of life, actual fine artists, people who do crafts. So it's a side that needs to be protected and people need to look into. We need to make sure that frameworks are set up, because right now I've seen a kid who used to be a rapper and a fan of mine turn into diamond platinums, and because of small things that the Tanzanian government did, his numbers are chasing Davido, who's arguably the biggest act from Africa right now. A little Tanzanian kid from the hood who's my fan. So I know the power that happens when government and musicians come together. So that's for that side. For the other side, never give up. Never give up. Let's keep pushing. Ugandan spirit is about finding a way out to Jakuyiya. You know what I mean? Yes, the struggle is real. And man, God bless. Let's keep tech close. And let's keep innovative. Ugandans are innovative. Let's put our best foot forward.
On my side, I just got to say that people should diversify, do multiple things, try different things. Don't be afraid to take risks, and you never know. Maybe one of those risks you take could be the best thing you ever did. So just stay positive, stay focused, take risks, and stay creative, keep conceptualizing, and COVID will end, and when it ends, it's gonna make everybody stronger. Thanks.
Well, these guys have said everything pretty much. Stay ready. That's all I can say. Stay ready. We have to keep working hard. Let's just keep working, stay ready, because after this, it's only getting better. I'm telling you, because I know I can see it coming. I can see the wave coming in. So don't lose hope, so that by the time the wave comes, you're like, oh, I was this and that. Stay ready, guys. Let's keep working hard. Like Shiba said, collaborate, because there is strength in collaboration. Just stay ready. I know it gets dark sometimes. I know we've had so many effects on mental health. Social media is crazy. People are going to tell you can't do it. People are going to say all sorts of things, but stay ready. Just stay ready, keep working, stay positive. Guaranteed, the tide is coming, and with what we have, just by the example of us here, with the youth and innovation and creativity we have, guaranteed it's going to get better, and we are going to thrive on a continental and an international level.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah, Alex.
Oh, me again. All right. Now,
Not shoes, please.
no shoes again.
There's a new shoes business.
Yeah, no more shoe business. Guys, keep your mask on. That's all I can say. Wash your hands whenever you can. Sanitize. And I'd like to thank the Kampala Innovation Week, Talent Africa, for putting this together and having us here discussing these important issues. And thank you so much for, hosting us. It was really dope, yeah?
For the company, I'm not going to be in the back there trying to push myself to the artists all the time. If they really look like they can, understand what I'm saying. And sometimes they don't reply as well. And so if they don't reply, how will they know about it? I mean, are we supposed to have like Q&As with them in public places? I mean, we cannot reach them through like something private?
Well, that's you and the hot seats people.
That goes back to how each and every one of us actually operates business-wise. Personally, if you want a collaboration, I'm not the person to talk to, even though I'm right here. It's just a procedure. It's a business procedure, but I could give you the right number. Then if it's about Holic pads, I'm definitely here. You can talk to me directly, but if I'm not here, there is still a procedure for that. I don't know about others, but I think every business has a procedure. That's it. Yeah, thanks.
Maybe to answer you back on that, because I know someone else out there has the same question like yours. You see, as young creatives, there's always that challenge. There's that person you look up to and you want to be like them. And I'll give you an example. In 2007, I attended a comedy show at National Theatre, and when power went off, when they were coming back, they put a video of a Nigerian comedian called Bright, Basket Mouth. He was doing a joke, two things involved. So I watched it and I liked the guy, so I started following him up. I started sending him messages, hey bro, hey what's up? I would like to feature in your acts and everything. It wasn't working out. For all this time. Then last year, in around May, he called me and said, hey, this is Bright from Nigeria. I would like to perform at your event. I hear it's a weekly event. And I said, whoa, it took him 9 years to call me back. And he had never seen my messages. So I said...
You earned your respect.
Thank you. So I said, dude, man, I've been talking to you since 2009. He said, oh my God, I hadn't seen this. So, you get what I'm saying? So all you have to do is do not let... if you send Navio a message and has not replied, maybe he hasn't seen it. There's 1,000 people sending him a message every day, every minute. So sit down, create your craft. Make sure Navio calls you in 5 years. You understand? Yeah, that's how it works with creatives.
But I also think the human aspect of people in the limelight is forgotten easily. And this year with COVID has made everyone remember we're human, we're in this together. So when we're reaching out to people that we see on stages, it's through that lens sometimes. And we forget, Shiba could be having an off day, just like Jean would. And so, maybe the vibe is just not working. So again, the patients understand they're human first. And we have another question.
Hello, I have a comment and a question for Louis. First, the comment is, I personally think your music, your film, your art is as good as every other place. I don't think Nigerians have better music than us, no offense.
No, they don't.
I don't think all that. I have seen so much here because I do film, I'm a filmmaker. And I am always so thrilled when I find out about young artists and different people and how talented, mad talented they are. Yeah. But art is a team movement. Yeah. Alex, Douglas, Sheba, Navio, Ali, maybe besides Louis' followership on Twitter isn't yet that crazy, but he's a lawyer. But the rest of you have really big platforms. Retweet a person like him and push that message because he knows and you're the voice through which these thoughts, these thoughts are moved forward. And my question to you is, what's being done to change the loopholes in the, okay, it's broad. What's being done to change the loopholes in the entertainment industry? Like you've spoken of copyright, contract, local and international film, art policies, I don't know, and royalties. So that's pretty much it. But otherwise, guys, we're all for talent, and for you to have a bigger show, Alex, you need him, the presenter, and she needs her, the singer. So for us to all make it, to all make those bags that we deserve, we need to be there. So I feel like we should just keep doing that. And thank you.
Well, Navio, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, on that point, actually, it's like, Sheba got a huge nomination, worldwide nomination for MTV, EU, you know what I mean?
EMS.
And I think it's, like you say, people leaning on each other, not to be negative, but I think there are a lot of acts out there who should have uploaded and pushed that post.
That's very true.
Because it's a milestone. So it doesn't matter how much someone's winning or not winning or how you feel about them. As Ugandans, you know what I mean? It's about strength in numbers, like my album's called. It's about pushing each other up. So that really, that's one of those kind of things. We need to come together.
I think to top on that, I'm guilty as well when it comes to that. I will be really, let me accept that. We all part of that problem. So if we realize that we have an issue, so from today, from her saying something like, think about it, if Alex has a show and I post him and you post him and he posts him and Allibhai posts him and Steve Jean does the same and everybody in the country does the same. If it's my day, it's my day. If it's Mackenzie's day, we are all about Mackenzie. If it's Douglas's day, we're all about Douglas. And if it's Stalin Africa or Navio, we are all about Navio. I wish, and I'm going to try my best. I'm going to make sure I try to do that, and I hope everyone tries that.
I think, Sheba, in our industry, okay, it just happens here. In Nigeria, you see these guys support each other. If Wiz is nominated for something, you see Davido post, Burna Boy, and they're all so happy. In our country, if Sheba has an EMA nomination, you see only Sheba Holics and just a few of Sheba's friends. I don't know where that heart came from, but it's so bad. So maybe going forward, we just need to work together. Like she said, if Alex, is doing his comedy and the TV host, I support Alex, I support Sheba, Sheba supports me back. It's just like that.
And I think for those who don't do it, when they watch like most of the industry people are doing it, they'll join the trail. So let's take it on ourselves, each and everybody in this room, to try and actually get rid of the issue. Because we cannot win on our own. It's a team thing.
Louis, I think the question was mostly to you.
No, they have better insights.
That's true. What's your legal perspective there?
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as a boring question. You should never have that attitude. Every question is, there's no such thing. I'm going to answer your question in two parts. You have the serious one, the legal one of what are the loopholes that I'm going to address. But there's something you mentioned that I don't want to be left on the surface, and I'm going to tell you a personal story about it. You said people like icons like Sheba need to retweet people like us to get that message out there. I don't even have 1,000 Twitter followers, you understand? And yet, if a Navio retweeted me talking about asking the government to put down UPRS and restart something afresh, people would notice. Here's where that comes from. Let me tell you a personal story. In 2015, when I decided that I'm going to specialize in entertainment, music, film law, I saw all the problems that were going on, and I was like, I was charged young. I was like, let's do this. Let me go to the government. Let them tell them what is wrong. Let me do all these things. And all those guys are looking at me like, yeah, but so what? I was fortunate, I have to say that. I happened to represent Radio and Weasel. And in my interaction with them, by the way, I was representing them at that point in non-musical related matters. I want to put that out there. But what pushed me to represent them is because I was, and when I was having conversations with them, especially the late Mose, I realized that there is nothing I am ever going to do or say that is going to have more impact than someone in the creative arts themselves, a leader like Mose Radio. It will never happen. It will never happen. That was a light bulb for me. So I had these conversations with him, and I said, listen, I need to go study this thing at an international level to understand it, so that when I come back, he was also a dreamer. He was like, Louis, you go study that thing, get all the right connects, okay? Come back, I am going to be your ambassador. That was what the plan was. Because I knew with my knowledge, if I get a Navio and he speaks what we are trying, if I go to a meeting with URSB, or if I meet the ministry, the Minister of Gender, or if I meet the President and I'm telling him these policies, he's not going to listen to me. I need to go with someone like Ali, someone like Douglas, who's going to be like, listen, we need this because of this, that, and that, and that. We experience it, all right? Personal story, I'm studying, Moses passes. Okay? I won't title up in a few. I come back and I'm like, where do I begin? Because remember what I said? This is sensitization for stakeholders within and outside. We need people within to understand it, for the government and regulators to buy into it. Because they also don't understand it, by the way. They're only going to come in if they see a Shiba holding a concert. You're going to see URA coming, like, you're making money. Let's see what's up. They're going to come up with laws that are going to tax the internet. They're going to come up with laws that are going to say, before you write a song, bring it for approval. Out of total ignorance, all right? So back to your point, it's extremely important for people, icons like you, to be engaged and you push this message. It's very powerful. It's extremely, extremely powerful when a Douglas says, guys, this is happening, we need to stand for royalties now. Let's talk about this. People are going to listen because you're cultural leaders. I've left that point. When I got back, now that the person I was going to use is gone, one of my biggest obstacles has been getting artists to buy into, you need a lawyer. This is why you need a lawyer, because you're going to do it like this, like this, like this, and if I go with you, it will validate my message. A few people like Talent Africa, which I commend, buy into it, and they send the artists, they're like, you know what, you need a lawyer, go talk to that lawyer. But most people are like, minimum contract. What if I sign? And yet I'm dealing with people at international level who are telling me, Louis, we want to come, but there is no performance rights society that is standard. There is no way we're going to pay royalties. Most of these individuals we are talking to have no idea what licensing is. You understand? It's until I was at peace with, I cannot do this alone. And by the way, I cannot do this alone, okay? People say, oh, you're the only entertainment lawyer. I cannot do this alone. All of us here need to be entertainment lawyers. All of us here need to be creatives. All of us need to study. All of us need to understand this so that we can reap from it. Otherwise, if you do not educate yourself, you're going to be at the same level year in, year out. The loopholes in the copyright law, I'm just going to address it for 1 minute. Again, enforcement, because there is no sensitization. There cannot be just two people who understand the law that's supposed to benefit how many youth involved in entertainment, giving billions out of the service sector, that even the legislators you're telling don't understand it because we are voting all sorts of populist people, and that's the whole discussion for another day. But whatever the loopholes are tied into icons like this, understanding them, so that by the time, like I said, stay ready. If one day the president wakes up and is like, okay, now what laws do you want me to pass? I'm going to pass it today. If you're not ready, we are back to square one.
Can I just say, ladies?
I said I had the most exciting part.
Sorry. Let me just, I get disturbed every time they say, oh, it's also about us, which I understand. But how do we do this without even having a system? Because first of all, how do we get together to talk about the matters about us, but we don't even have a system to do that?
You've asked actually, This is perfect. Just give me 1 minute to explain, because you've asked the one question I've always wanted artists to ask. Now, the way our industry is structured, we do not have regulatory bodies for artists. The bodies we have are camaraderies. You're going to have Ugandan musician associations of somebodies who are doing this. If you go to international markets, they're going to have guilds, actors guilds, writers guilds. They're going to have producers guilds, things that are going to create standards within the industry that if someone wants to come and talk to artists, they'll find a legislative, a regulatory body that represents them. Not just a body that represents a section or not just 2 or 3 people. I've written about this in papers, but again, after this I'm going to share a link with you guys and I need you guys to retweet. But that is a very, very pertinent question that artists need to address and create these guilds. Right now, anyone can become an artist and release a song, whatever quality, and outside there, they're going to judge it as it is coming from Uganda. Because even within the artists themselves, there is nothing like standardization. And that loophole is what is going to give the government, seeing that disorganization, the moral right to be like, you guys are disorganized, let us bring these laws. They haven't consulted anyone because there is no one to consult.
I think you've made this so relevant to Innovation Week, and as Startup Uganda, this is a call. There's a niche for the creative industry as we build an ecosystem. Players like Design Hub, Talent Africa, Motive, how can we then start addressing things like this? I think it's quite exciting and we could stay here forever, but Thank you so much. You have spoken so well and eloquently, and it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, guys.
And for my last point, actually.